Hey everyone, Toy with Molten Hardware here. Today I'm going to be delidding the i7 7700K that I have running in my big rig bag there. I expect to see about a 20 to 22 degrees Celsius drop in temperatures. Simply from experience, I've done a 6700K as well as a couple of 6600K CPUs. I have delidded, so just from experience, that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. Right now, our load is running about 85 degrees for about 15 minutes in prime 95. So I expect to see that drop quite a bit. Going forward, this is a very advanced procedure that should only be undertaken with the full understanding that when you do this, it voids your warranty completely. There's no two ways about it. So if you mess it up, you will be buying a new CPU. So it is a very expensive mistake to make. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so first off, you want to get your CPU and your razor blade if you're using the razor blade method. Then you're going to take your razor blade, you're going to work it around the edge of your CPU. I'm just going to start in this corner. Just going to slowly slide it in. Not using a whole lot of force, but you really want to make sure that you are applying pressure on the back of your razor blade so that the front of the razor blade is actually lifting up so you don't dig into the PCB at all. And then you're just going to kind of wiggle it in. Careful, again, just put pressure on the back of it. That way, as I said, you're not digging into your PCB, and because if you do that, you will break your CPU. So as you can kind of see, I had it start a little bit. I'm just going to work it in a little bit again. Main thing with this is just slow and steady wins the race, really. Right, there you go. So as you can see right there, I do have it in. I have that seal broken with the razor blade. As you can see, I'm kind of right now. You do bend the PCB a little bit. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt the PCB to do that, but it will bend it a little bit when you're doing this. And then you're just going to work your way. This is how I do it. I just take the razor blade from the corner that I had it in, and I just work my way off of that one side and just kind of break that seal along the entire way. And it's pretty much just that process throughout all four sides. That's all it is. Fairly straightforward process. It is a little bit harrowing, especially when you're doing it for the first time. Now with the invention of the Rocket Kit 88, I don't really recommend doing it with the razor blade. I just don't have one of the Rocket Kits, which I will link down below in the description. That way you guys can buy it. They're 30 bucks. They work with any number of CPUs. Mainly, you can get, I believe, just the out of the box thing. They do the Kabylake and the Skylake, and then they have adapters for the Haswell cards, the Broadwell cards, stuff like that. I'm just going to skip ahead real quick and show you the finished product. Alright, I just broke the IHS free from the PCB. You can see the thermal interface material that Intel applied at the factory right there on the die, as well as on the bottom of the IHS. You can also see the leftover sealant that I actually cut through with the razor blade along the PCB and the IHS. And I'm just straightening out the PCB real quick since it did bend it a little bit in each of the corners along the sides. As I said, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt it, but it is going to happen if you're using a razor blade. Okay, so the next step in this process is to remove all of the leftover sealant on the PCB as well as the IHS. I use Goo Gone on the IHS simply because it's not going to hurt anything. It does an okay job. And then I use isopropyl alcohol to clean up anything that it hasn't gotten. And then I use isopropyl alcohol with either paper towels or, as you can see, Q-tips on the PCB itself. It cleans it up really well. You just have to use a little bit of elbow grease, unfortunately. No way around it. I have used Goo Gone on the PCB before too. Chips run fine. So it's kind of up to you on whether you want to use isopropyl alcohol and everything, or if you just want to use some Goo Gone. I would be a little leery of getting Goo Gone on the bottom of the actual CPU itself, on all the connectors for the socket. I don't think it would degrade the gold, but you never know. Better to err on the side of caution. So as you can see, I'm using the Q-tip. It's literally just elbow grease from this point forward. So I'm just going to skip ahead and when I have it actually cleaned up and nice looking. Okay, as you can see here, I have gotten all the sealant removed off of the PCB as well as the IHS. So they're all nice and clean. Going to have a really good mating surface. There's not going to be any gaps between those, which is where a lot of times you will see temperature issues because the thermal interface material just can't transfer heat properly to the IHS from the die. There's just the sealant creates a pretty decent gap there, which is one of the main reasons people do Delid. So now I'm going to apply my Thermal Grizzly Conductonaut. I've used it on my 6700K and now I'm going to use it on this 7700K. Does a really good job. I've had very good results with it. I really enjoy using it. So when you actually get Conductonaut brand new, it does come with two little Q-tip looking things. They're not quite Q-tips. They don't have all the little phrase on them, but they are Q-tip-esque, as you can see. They are perfect for applying this material. So here I am. I'm going to mess up with my Conductonaut. I'm going to push a little too hard on the actual applicator. It's just going to squirt all over. It's not a problem. It's just an annoyance. As you can see, I'm quite frustrated with it, but I'm going to just keep trucking. I'm going to put some on the actual die, and then I'll clean the rest of that up later. Not a problem if you get some like that, like I did. Just take some isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip, just clean it up. Not a big deal at all. As long as you don't fire the chip up with that on there, you're good. So I'm just going to clean it up real quick. And as you'll see here in a minute, the isopropyl alcohol cleans it very well. I know my hands are in the way. I didn't realize my camera was quite where it was and then my hand was in the way, so I do apologize for this next little bit. My hand is really in the way, so do apologize. I'll try to do better next time. So here I'm going to use the Q-tip just to apply it. So it's literally just kind of spreading it around along the die. You want to have a nice good film on there, as I'll show you later, that's quite reflective. Applying it is a little bit different than applying regular thermal interface grease for obvious reasons. But really it's just kind of a circular motion until you get it kind of all spread around, and then it's just a matter of smoothing it all out so you have a nice kind of mirror looking finish, which will then that'll be your good amount of the liquid metal material on there. And you'll see in here in a minute I'm going to spray a little bit more extra on there, just because I didn't quite have enough. As you can see, I'm getting a good mirror finish, but as I said, just not quite enough to get it complete. Now, if you didn't screw up like I did, one of these applicators would give you probably 3 or 4 uses. If you wanted to delid numerous times, you could probably get 3 or 4 uses easily out of this application tube. So when you apply this, you want to be very careful with it because it is very conductive and it will mess up components if you get it on them and don't clean it up properly. The Kabylake and the Skylake chips do have a little transistor on the board, on the PCB right up next to the die. Other CPUs will have transistors on them. Some of them don't, and it's just a die, but a lot of them do have little transistors on there. You want to make sure that you take what numerous people do different things. I'm going to use this nail polish top coat right here. It's just a clear nail polish. Just going to take the applicator and just dab it on there a couple times just to get a good covering on that transistor. Let it dry, and you don't have to worry about it again. Some people use electrical tape. I'm not really a big fan of doing that, especially considering how hot CPUs can get, but to each their own. People have done that in the past. Okay, so here's what your finished product is going to look like. You got your nice mirror finish with your nail polish covered in your little contacts there on the PCB. Next thing you do is to take the IHS and then put it onto the PCB and then install the CPU in your system. So let's go do that now. Okay, so grab our PCB, grab our IHS. As you can see, all nice and clean. Making sure that the writing is properly so that I can read it, so I know which way it's properly up and down. You want to make sure that the chip, all the edges, are going to be centered. You want to kind of remember where it was on the chip itself, so you can put the IHS down in pretty much the exact same position as it was when it was glued down. So you can see this little corner. You have the triangle for your indicator down there in the corner. Don't know if orientation really matters to the IHS, but I'm just going to make sure that I can read the writing on the top of the IHS and make sure that that triangle is in the bottom left corner. So here we go. Just drop it on very gently, and that's all there is to it. You have successfully delided your CPU. Good job. Hey guys, just want to go over a couple things with you about on this video. Main thing being, this is a very enthusiast grade procedure. It is not for the faint-hearted because it will void your warranty. If you mess up, it will destroy your CPU and you will have to buy a new one. As it's not covered underneath the warranty, so if you try to get it warranted, Intel or AMD will be like, hey, this chip has been delided. Physical damage is not going to be covered. It's just like if you bent it in half, accidental damage, any kind of number of things like that. There's just no way around it. So it is very enthusiast grade. It's not for everybody. That being said, you do see quite a difference in performance. My big rig back there, just deliding it, I was running it at 5 gigahertz before. I was seeing about max temperatures on my CPU running a Prime 95 was about 85 degrees Celsius after about 15 minutes on my loop. After the delid, it is dropped down by 21 degrees to 64 degrees Celsius as a max after 15 minutes of running Prime 95. So it is definitely there. Wouldn't recommend it for air. It's up to you on whether you want to do that or not, though. It's mainly the main place you're going to see the results is going to be in a liquid-cooled loop. Again, what you do is up to you, though. Hopefully this video was informative and it helped anybody who might have been on the fence about doing it to, say, hey, yeah, this is okay. I feel I can do this. Anymore nowadays, I don't really recommend doing the razor blade method, simply because it can, because there's better tools available now, I should say. The Rocket Kit 88, like I went over in my video, is a much better tool now. It's much less dangerous to use it. There's hardly any risk involved with it, because it's a nice tool. It literally just tightens a screw down that slides the IHS to the side and pops it off. It's a really great tool. I plan on getting one here soon. So the next build I do, I'll actually delid it using that, and I'll make an updated delid video. So if you guys have any questions, or if you like the video, go ahead and give me a like. If you don't, just give me a dislike. Let me know what you guys would like to see in the future, or if I can do anything better. Thanks for watching. This is Tori with Molten Hardware.